Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Becky Fontaine and welcome back Nathan Gray from the Iron Roses to the podcast. The Iron Roses will release their self-titled album this Friday, October 20th on Iodine Records. Becky and Nathan talk about how the Iron Roses has transformed into a full-fledged band and how much freedom and inclusion that has brought to the members within the group, finding joy in being yourself, fighting hatred with hope, and more. This is probably the most fun and joyful conversation I've ever had on this podcast, and revisiting it on the edit was uplifting to my spirit. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to As the Story Grows wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the podcast on Substack, Patreon, and Discord. Links to all of those will be in the show notes. Come hang out. Enjoy today's chat with Becky and Nathan from the Iron Roses.
The architects of misery call down from the battle rooms on high. They pick and fight for you and I to gamble lost and set the price. But from the depths to the mountains, we struggle for our lives. The pushback is controlled by the same routine.
Well, welcome, Nathan. I'm excited to have you back. You've been on though, so Becky, let's start with you.
Oh, sorry, 1 second.
What are you doing?
I just freaked out. Sorry. Try that again.
Becky, let's start with you. Just like give me an opening snapshot. Where did you grow up? What got you into music, and what led you to the Iron Roses?
Oh, that's quite a snapshot.
Yeah.
I grew up everywhere. I am an Air Force brat, so that means I moved all over the place. Spent most of my later part in life, I guess, in Ohio, where I lived until 2019 when I moved to Maryland, and now I live 2 doors away from Nathan. I've known Nathan for a decade now, and I have been providing backing vocals on a couple tracks here and there, and all of their
For the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, on all of their solo albums so far. So my transition into being a full-on Rose, kind of happened, I guess, organically based on that. And now in this album, instead of being the backing vocalist, we're kind of sharing those primary vocal duties. So it's been a cool come up, I guess the kids would say. Yeah.
Would the kids say that? I don't know what the kids.
Man, Nathan, you were on this show about a year ago when we chatted. You had just made the switch to the Iron Roses full time. How has the response been in changing and just being like, this is the band?
It's been awesome. It's been absolutely incredible. I think that a lot of fans had sort of the same issues I did with what was going on, because I think with the solo stuff, there's a certain expectation or idea of what solo stuff sounds like. And not only that, but I just wasn't really happy with only putting forth my part of what I do. I like working off of other people. So when I decided to switch over to Nathan Gray and the Iron Roses, it was like, wait a minute. No, this still doesn't feel right, because it sounds like a blues band, number one. And when you do Someone in the Somethings, it's always, I don't know, it just doesn't sound right. And it always sort of, although it gives the rest of the band sort of more autonomy, it's still a backing band as opposed to everyone being involved. So I think the idea of it has come off much better. And then now that people are even hearing it, they're like, oh, well, this all makes sense now, So I think it's been wonderful, the feedback we've been getting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Becky, have you noticed a change in how even you guys just showing up to practice or writing since the name change?
Yes. Because it's funny because when Nathan talks about when it still was Nathan Gray and the Iron Roses, I know I can't speak for the rest of my band. I can make assumptions, but I know for myself, it felt still like, well, what's my place in this? Like, if I am an and what autonomy do I have, or what's my place? Like, how much can I insert myself? I know for me personally, it was even like translating into our live show where I was afraid to leave the mic stand.
Yeah.
And now I'm like a maniac.
Kept standing back behind me.
Yeah.
Like, I'd look back like, what is she doing back there?
and now I'm running into everybody on stage.
Yes.
But so it's been cool to see that transition, not just for myself and the rest of the band, in where we are like, oh, this is actually our thing. And I think that really happened in the studio with this album because everybody had brought so much to the table. It felt ours, and it was like the defining moment of this is ours.
There you go.
And
Be part of this.
Honestly, it your I'm using the term transition, but I don't mean it. But sort of. Your transition into not being the front person.
My transition.
We know. Letting go of control.
Yeah.
Like that has been something that I've watched you do too, like, which has been bravo, man. Because I know that was hard for you, but that's been part of our whole kind of becoming as a band.
Yeah, you guys feel, maybe not speaking for everybody in the band, but you're not as replaceable. You are the band, and like,
correct.
You're damn right.
Yeah,
don't forget it.
And it's funny, even in this band with forming it. Okay. Even with forming like what the Iron Roses was going to be, we've been through many iterations and members, but I really feel like we've got the A team now. Like it's just that's it.
Definitely do.
Nothing's changing from here.
Yeah, wildly talented group of.
You have to die to get out of this band.
Yeah.
That was morbid. Sorry.
It really was.
Also, in that year, since we chat, is about a year ago, but a little more than a year, that was your coming out as gender non-conforming. And from a completely outside perspective, like, there's so much joy, I feel like, in just like press photos and videos, like talking to you now, like there's a joy. Do you have this like freedom now of just like fuck, I'm finally who I want to be? Like, right? Like
it's like super fucking annoying.
Tamping something down. Yeah.
I'm like annoyingly joyful now. It's ridiculous. I just posted about it the other day. I checked my blood pressure. I'm like, my blood pressure is down. What the fuck is going on here? Like, it's like I've had high blood pressure for years, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, we're good now. But it's been great, and it's been so, I guess, obvious for everyone that sees me and what I'm doing that I'm a completely different person at this moment, and not just by the way I look, but the way I feel and the way I present myself and the way I act. Like, it just, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I had no idea that's all I had to do. Like, it's like, oh, that's it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah. How has the scene response been? Because, hardcore and punk doesn't have a great track record in being the most accepting people, even if they want to say, like, we're open to everybody. Like, that's not really true, right?
Right. There are, you're going to have little microaggressions. You're going to have little issues. I think one of the biggest issues I've had is there came a point where we had to stop drawing from the Boy Sets Fire fan base.
Yeah. Because
we got what we got, and at this point, if we dip in over there anymore, it's just bringing people over that are like, oh, I liked you better the other way. Oh, miserable. You like that better? Fuck off. Like, you're not a friend or a fan then. Go fuck yourself. Like, so, or I just like this. I don't like this, okay, fine. That is understandable. That's whatever. Just go do what you do and like what you like. But besides that, honestly, I really haven't had that hard of a time. I've had more issues within my family than I have with complete strangers.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but at the same time, I've learned very well how to let go of that kind of thing, and grasping on more to chosen family than anything else. And it's been wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk about this new album. When did the writing process start for this record?
It's always going. I'm already writing the next album. Sorry. I'm already writing.
We were tracking over a year ago.
Yes. Yes. And we were doing like, we'd have some writing sessions here, some we'd go to Ohio and do some writing, because we've got members all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah. And besides that, like the sort of the way we do it and how I want to keep doing this is we'll sit around at our respective homes and write. And through the miracle of modern technology, we can just write stuff and send it, and people can add parts, and we throw it back and forth until we have like some songs that we can work on live. So once you have that, then you bypass the whole issue of a bunch of people in a room going, all right, I guess we doodle until we figure something out, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. I know Phil and I, especially, it drives her insane, are already like, oh, I got a song for the next album, you know, like, but yeah, so we've been writing for about a year. And over that, yeah.
May, I remember us doing like scratch vocals in that studio room in like May.
And we had about 25 songs that we narrowed down to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. How was this experience different than Rebel Songs? Obviously, that was like a pandemic record versus this is like, you know, getting to write and record and in a room, you know?
Yeah. It's very different. Completely different people, completely different situation. Because like you said, it was during the pandemic, and it was me, my friend Jed, and Gene. And basically, we were only writing. Gene lives in Tennessee. Jed lives like 15 minutes down the street, but still, we weren't getting together. And we were writing everything online with each other. And so by the time we got into the studio, it was me, Jed, and Gene. We got into the studio with Brian McTernan, and he about lost his mind on us because we didn't even know the songs. Like, because we'd only been doing it through the computer. We never got together. So once we did get together, he was like, oh my God, I hate you guys. Like, you know? And then like Becky would come in to do backing vocals. I brought Phil in to do some rapping on that album. And, but this time it was a completely different situation where we all knew what we basically needed to do for the songs. But when we got together, it was just like, that's when let's be honest, that's when we knew this was the band.
Yeah.
Is when we got in the studio for this album, it was like, there it is.
Yeah.
We figured out what everybody did, what everybody brought to each song, and it took off. Mm-hmm. It was so amazing.
Young punks on the outskirts of boredom, tearing down what the parents taught them. Life was a party, dancing on your grave tonight. No sleep till liberation, feeling back it down.
The two singles so far have a very similar energy. When you were taking those 25 songs and paring them down, was there like a vibe you were like, this is what we want the record to sound like, as opposed to just like, these are the best songs, you know, not that you didn't pick the best songs, but like, what was the importance there in choosing and trying to figure out how you're choosing what to be on the album?
It was definitely the energy.
Well, yeah, we wanted to just like drop an album that just slapped people right in the face and just, what was that?
From beginning to end, it just needed to go.
Yeah.
And so there were songs that just were like, it's good, but you know.
Does it compete with the energy?
Yeah.
You know?
And we basically based everything off of Screaming for a Change.
Okay.
Screaming for a Change, I'm so glad that that song became what it did, because I sent the old version to everyone when we first started working. It was a very slow reggae song. It sounded nothing like what it sounds like now.
Wow.
And because we were experimenting with reggae and ska influences within the punk spectrum.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. We were just sitting around laughing hysterically at this version because it's nothing like it. But Screaming for a Change being the first song on the album, being the first single, really introduces this album.
Yeah.
It has everything in it. The screaming, the punk, melodic punk stuff, the sort of reggae vibes, the ska stuff. It's got everything.
Yep.
And that really needed to be the lead out for this album. And everything sort of follows suit after that. Like Old Guard, and you're going to hear a new single coming out this month. I'll just say what it's called. It doesn't matter. It's called Justify the Lies. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's out. The list of what the songs are called are out. So I can say what it's called. And that song is going to play a little bit more to that reggae vibe that we're doing, but with a lot more pep and energy to it.
Yeah.
And what I really love about this next song that's going to come out is Phil plays a lot more of a role in that, and Becky, to where Phil and I are going back and forth in sort of a high energy, almost hip hop sort of feel over this reggae vibe. And then Becky has her own part in the bridge. And so you get to see all the different vocals work on this next song. But as we go through these singles and then at the release in October, I think everyone's going to be very pleasantly, I don't think surprised, but happy with what they see come of this the rest of this album. Because you'll hear 3 songs before it comes out and then go, this all makes sense. This all very much makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you've been releasing music for so long and the industry has changed so much. Like, I mean, even in like 10 years, like,
very fair.
I've even like a few years ago, it's like cassettes were big and now they're out again, right? Like that's not a thing. Like, does like streaming and videos and just like the rollout for a record, how has that change been? Is it just like, oh, we have to have like, I mean, you guys aren't putting like 5 singles, 6 singles out before the record releases,
right?
But like, it's not, like it was, right?
Yeah. Well, being 25 years old,
ma'am, you are twice that plus one. Twice plus one. Shh. You may be aging in reverse, but let's not stretch it.
It's changed drastically, and fortunately, we have the label and our management team and things like that to really guide us on how things are done now. And there are definitely like some butting of heads to where I have to just be like, I'm going to let go because I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been through many different iterations of how things are done. And at this point, I don't get it. I don't understand why or how. And so we just really trust our team that we have on how you're supposed to do things. Yeah. Because I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just here to play music and look pretty.
The important things in life, right?
Yeah, exactly. Check.
I don't remember when you released Rebel Songs with Casey and Iodine, were you like, hey, we're working on new stuff, you want to do this too? Or did you like send them some demos like, hey, do you want to release this new record?
The main thing was getting getting Rebel Songs sort of moved over into the US because End Hits wasn't really doing it over here, and moving away from that label in general. And so I wanted to find a new home, and so everyone came along with me. And it was, for the most part, I said, look, if you license this from End Hits and sort of give it some life over here in the US, we will give you the next album.
Okay.
And so that's pretty much how it worked. And that was sort of the agreement was, okay, we've got one album after this that we will definitely do together, and then we'll see what happens after that.
I just remembered that for this album, we had Casey come over to the house and listen to it with us in the room for the first time.
That had to be so uncomfortable. Yeah. Like we were sitting here staring at him while he's listening to it.
I was trying not to.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, like we had him sit. and listen to it for the first time with us.
That's awesome.
He's good people.
He's good people.
Very good
Wonderful.
people.
Yeah, he doesn't live far from me, and it's like we're gonna hang out sometime, but we have not hung out yet. So
Yeah. Well, adulting.
It happens. It's how being
adulting
an adult
happens.
works.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Children, they run your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who did the album artwork?
It was
Chris Hammer.
Hamer.
Hamer. He goes by Urban. He has a handle called Urban Pop, where he has a comic bookstore. He does amazing art, and we knew that we wanted this album cover to look very different to help, pull the narrative away from like Nathan Gray and the Iron Roses, and so we wanted it to be not centric around like our faces or anything along those lines. And we've both been obsessed with his work for a very long time. So we just said, hey, do you think he would do this with us? And he was stoked to do it. And I am obsessed with the way it came out.
We definitely wanted to create a whole, because you'll see the t-shirts, everything are his art.
Yeah.
And wanted to make everything around that style and bring, because it has the same energy as what we're doing. So it works perfectly together.
Yeah,
It all tells a story.
Yeah, did you give him a direction or for the artwork or?
Yeah, I mean, we basically said what the album's about, what we're looking to do, and when he came up with the guy with the rose head, sort of like it just made so much sense. This like almost like corporate America and this flower blooming, whether it wants it to or not.
He's a little panicked.
Yeah.
What is happening?
And that fighting back with beauty and joy against something so stifling and awful is it worked.
Yeah.
Against the suits.
All right. Don't get me started. I won't.
Oh, I know. No. She goes on political rants and even I'm like, okay, all right.
I mean, do it. Go. Well, in that vein, what was inspiring you lyrically when you were writing this record?
I mean, look around.
Outside.
Yeah.
All of this. All of this.
It's funny enough. So like when you have a band that's as diverse as we are, it comes very easy talking about things that are going on in the world that literally affect the people in this band. So it made lyrical content very easy to come by.
Yeah, especially because we all have the same ideals and, ethics, I guess.
Yeah, and so I think the only thing that we wanted to make sure was that despite the fact that we were very serious about what we're talking about, is that we make it at least somewhat positive and joyful and like, I mean, that was it. Was just, we're going to speak on the issues that affect us as a band and not just this amorphous stuff that's going on out there, but stuff that is literally relative to us, and speak on how we are going to fight back with joy and laughter and hope.
The difference is that it is a punk album that is politically leaning, that is not singing at people.
Yeah.
It is pulling people in to be a part of a joyous revolution. Like we are dancing our asses off, while we're screaming, fuck you. And that's not just like something that we want for us. We want everybody that comes to experience our music, whether at home or in person, to be wrapped up in that. Like this is our revolution. It's not like us preaching at you. It's something we're all participating in.
Right. So. It kind of writing lyrical evolution where you used to be like, oh, I'm so angry, fuck it all. And now it's just like, I'm still angry, but we can fight back with love and hope and joy. And the world could be better, even though these assholes here are trying to fuck everything up.
Well, I mean, if you see those assholes, they're miserable.
Yeah.
They're miserable. They're angry. They're sad. They're just pathetic. So in order to create something that's counterculture to that, you have to create something beautiful and happy and wonderful. You know what I mean? To let people know that there's a place for them.
Life is never as it seems when you breathe it in, you clamp down. We gotta It's all too easy to get lost when you're living in a white town. When the cops come and your kids ain't disappearing anyhow. Heaven's never as it seems when you're privy in the clampdown.
What's the rest of this year look like? I mean, you always playing shows, always on tour. Like,
Yeah. We've actually, it's funny because like during the rollout of this, we've cut back a little bit, just sort of waiting to let things get rolling a little bit.
We are doing a little run down to Fest and back. We're actually playing 2 sets at Fest this year. One, we'll just say regular and one acoustic because we're utilizing our entire band in both sets.
Yep.
And our
drummer switches to keys for the acoustic set.
Our brand of acoustic is still insane.
Yeah.
So do not miss that.
The album release show
we have an album
is in
release show
Richmond, Virginia.
On the 20th,
Yep.
day of, which will be awesome. So yeah, we're doing a few shows between the album release date and Fest.
And then December, we go to Europe.
Yes, we do.
Mostly Germany and Switzerland.
Yeah, back there.
And then we'll see what happens. Like, I think we're looking to go out as much as we can towards the end of the year, once the album's out, but not too much, and just sort of see how the ball gets rolling, and then into next year, hopefully we'll just be out forever.
Yeah. Is it tough to balance that? Like, all right, we have this album coming out and we're excited to play these shows and be on the road, but also like you guys are always writing new songs and like,
yes,
be excited about new stuff too.
You guys. New songs.
Ding, ding, ding. It's I think also it's difficult to hold yourself back a little bit when you just want to get out and just tour, because once again, we have learned that's not how it works anymore.
It is
Yeah.
not.
You don't go out and tour the US to get, an audience. You have to do that here online and create that audience in order to create a demand to go on tour. So, and that's foreign as shit to me.
Yes.
Like it used to be like in the mid 90s, that's how you got big. You went out and you toured and starved yourself to death to like make it work. And now you could do that for years and no one's going to give a shit. You have to work on whatever brand this is online or whatever. It's exhausting.
It is a big shift for you that you have really done well.
Here we are.
Goodbye. Life is never as it seems when you're privy in the clampdown. It's all too easy to get lost when you're living in a white town. When the cops come and your kids ain't disappearing anyhow. Life is never as it seems when you're privy in the clampdown.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song. One good word and I'm gone. Oh, as the story grows, the more I I wanna show